The hospital smelled like bleach and silence. I stood at the counter, my hands shaking as I handed over my card. Again, another payment, another bill that wasn't mine. When the nurse said, "It's cleared," my mother exhaled with relief and hugged me tight. But it wasn't love I felt in her arms. It was dependence. She whispered, "You're such a good daughter." And for a second, those words hurt more than any insult ever could, because I knew what she really meant. You paid again. You saved us again. As I watched them smile, I felt something inside me crack. Not loudly, quietly, like glass under slow pressure. For years, I thought being a good daughter meant giving without limits. But standing in that sterile corridor, surrounded by the hum of machines and the weight of unspoken expectations, I finally asked myself a question I'd been too afraid to face. At what point does love stop being love and start feeling like a debt? And in that moment, I realized maybe the real price of being a good daughter was losing myself. I wasn't always the one holding everything together. There was a time when being the eldest daughter felt like a badge of pride. My parents would call me their little star, the one who would make the family proud. And for a while, I believed them. When I was young, I'd rush home with perfect grades thinking they'd be happy because I'd done well. But over time, I realized they were happier because it meant something for them. "Our daughter's topping her class again," they'd say, smiling for the neighbors. Not for me. My father worked hard, but always complained about money. My mother stayed home, keeping the family afloat with what little he brought in. When I started earning from part-time jobs, the pattern began. Small requests at first. "Can you pay the electricity bill this month? We'll return it soon." They never did. My younger brother, Ian, was the golden child, carefree, adored, and always excused. If he failed an exam, it was, "He'll do better next time." If I missed one, it was disappointment, lectures, guilt. I learned early that love in my house came with conditions: performance, money, obedience. When I graduated and got my first real job, my parents cried, not from pride, but relief. "Now things will get easier," my father said, and I thought he meant for everyone. But soon I realized he meant for them. Every bonus, every raise, every late night I spent working meant another loan repaid, another problem solved. Not mine, but theirs. My life slowly stopped being about what I wanted. My goals became family goals. My achievements became their survival plan. And though everyone called me the good daughter, I started to wonder, when did being good start to feel like being trapped? It started with one phone call, then another, and another. "Beta, we're short this month. Your brother needs new books. The car broke down again." Every time I said yes. Every time I promised myself it would be the last. But it never was. My salary barely lasted 2 weeks. I'd eat instant noodles for dinner, skip outings, ignore my own needs, just to make sure they were comfortable. I told myself it was love. That's what good daughters do, right? They give. They hold everything together. They sacrifice. But slowly it began to suffocate me. The calls came not with hesitation, but expectation. "Transfer it now," my mother would text, followed by a heart emoji, as if that made it love. When I hesitated once, she said, "Ahan has his exams. You know how stressed he gets." It wasn't a request anymore. It was an order wrapped in guilt. My father started talking to me like a bank manager. "You'll get a raise soon, won't you? Can you handle the loan installments for a while?" Each word chipped away at the warmth I used to feel. I became an asset, not a daughter. At work, people envied me for being family-oriented. They didn't see the nights I cried alone in my apartment, staring at my empty account balance, wondering when my own life would begin. I couldn't remember the last time I bought something for myself without guilt. Then came the breaking point. My brother wanted to study abroad. My parents didn't ask. They assumed. "You'll help your brother, right? It's his future." My father's tone left no space for no. My mother's eyes begged, but not for understanding, for money. I froze. My savings, my dreams, my plans, all fading behind someone else's wants. I whispered, "What about me?" They looked at me confused, almost offended. My father said, "You're strong. You can handle it." My mother added softly, "You've always been our blessing." Blessing. That word, once sweet, now felt like a curse. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, realizing that my love had become a transaction. Every time they said thank you, it came with another demand hiding behind it. And for the first time in my life, I started to hate being the good daughter. The next morning started like any other, the same alarm, the same rush to get ready, the same sense of emptiness I had learned to ignore. But that day, something different happened. My aunt called. I picked up half asleep, expecting casual gossip. Instead, I heard my name followed by laughter. She didn't know I was still on the line when she said, "Yes, her salary is good. They're lucky to have her. She takes care of everything: bills, loans, even her brother's tuition." Her tone carried pride, but not for me, for my parents. "Her parents really raised her well," she added with a light chuckle. My heart sunk. It wasn't admiration, it was confirmation. I wasn't being celebrated, I was being used as proof of their success. My worth wasn't measured in love, it was measured in money. That afternoon, I decided to visit home. The door creaked open to the familiar smell of old furniture and cardamom tea. My parents were sitting in the living room, my father with his newspaper, my mother with her expense notebook. My brother's university brochures were spread across the table. They didn't even notice me walk in. "And the hostel fee is this much," my mother was saying, tapping her pen. "She'll manage, she always does." That sentence hit me like a slap, not because it was cruel, but because it was casual, routine, a truth so deep in their minds that it didn't need discussion. I sat quietly for a while, pretending to scroll my phone. My father talked about how proud he was that his friends envied him. "Not everyone has a daughter like ours," he said, smiling. My mother nodded. "We never have to worry. She's responsible. She won't say no." I excused myself and walked to my old room, the one with faded posters and the desk I once used to dream about scholarships, travel, and freedom. Everything looked smaller, duller. The air was heavy with memories that didn't belong to me anymore. I opened the drawer and found a photo, me at 17, holding my first academic award, my parents beaming beside me. I stared at that picture, realizing how early it all began. Even then, my success had been theirs. My dreams had been theirs. Through the thin walls, I could still hear their voices. "Father, we're lucky she's not like other kids. She doesn't argue." Mother, "That's because she knows her responsibility. We did our part. Now it's her turn." My fingers tightened around the photo until it bent. The words echoed like a verdict. Responsibility, turn, manage. Not love, not pride. Duty. My chest ached. I wanted to scream, to tell them I was tired, that I was drowning in the weight of their expectations, but the words never made it past my lips. I stood before the mirror. The woman staring back at me wasn't the bright, hopeful daughter I used to be. She looked older than her years. Tired eyes, forced smile, a body held together by exhaustion and guilt. For the first time, I truly saw myself. Not the good daughter, not the family savior, just a person slowly disappearing behind everyone else's needs. Tears slipped down my face as a whisper left my mouth. When did love turn into an obligation? And in that quiet, painful moment, I finally understood. My family didn't love me for who I was. They loved me for what I could give. And maybe the saddest part of all was that I had let them. That realization burned in my chest for days. Every time I looked at my phone and saw a new message from my parents, my stomach tightened. Their texts were never simple check-ins. They were itemized requests: electricity bill, medical test, college fees. Always something, always assuming. By the end of the week, I couldn't take it anymore. I packed a folder of bank statements, every transfer and payment I had made over the past few years, and drove back to that house, the same one where my voice never really mattered. When I arrived, they were in the kitchen. My mother was arguing about groceries. My father was checking receipts. It almost made me laugh. The same dance of money and tension I had seen my whole life. "Can we talk?" I asked. They both looked up, surprised. My mother forced a smile. Of course, dear. Sit. We were just planning your brother's semester budget. I didn't sit. I placed the folder on the table. No, I said quietly. We need to talk about this. My father frowned. What's this? Every rupee I've sent you, every loan I've paid, every transfer I've made, do you even know how much it adds up to? My mother's tone turned defensive. We never asked for luxury. We only needed help. That's what family does. Help? I said, my voice breaking. Help doesn't look like this. Help doesn't come with guilt, with threats, with silence when I say no. My father's voice hardened. You think we used you? I didn't hesitate. Yes. For a moment, the room went completely still. My brother, who had been eavesdropping from the doorway, looked frozen. My mother's eyes filled with tears, but her words cut deep. You're being ungrateful. After all we've done for you, this is how you talk to us? I took a deep breath. You did raise me. You taught me to be strong. But somewhere along the way, I became your safety net instead of your daughter. I can't live like that anymore. My father slammed his hand on the table. You think you're better than us because you have money now? His words hit me, but I didn't flinch. No, I said steady. I think I'm finally seeing things clearly. My mother cried harder. We depended on you. We thought we could trust you. I met her gaze. You could trust me, but you broke my trust first. You didn't just take my money. You took my peace, my time, my sense of belonging. My brother finally spoke up, his voice barely above a whisper. So, what now? I turned toward him. Now, you all take care of yourselves. I've done enough. My father scoffed. You'll regret this. Family is everything. I picked up the folder, slipping it back into my bag. Family is supposed to be love, not a debt I can't stop paying. As I walked toward the door, my mother called after me, her voice breaking. If you leave like this, don't come back. I stopped, my hand on the doorknob. The weight of her words pressed against my chest, but I didn't turn around. I've been gone for a long time. You just never noticed. And with that, I stepped outside into the cool air, the quiet street, and a freedom that hurt almost as much as it healed. For the first time, I wasn't the good daughter. I was just me. The days after that confrontation felt strangely quiet. No calls, no texts, no guilt-laced messages asking for just one more favor. It was silence, heavy, foreign, and healing all at once. At first, I didn't know what to do with it. I kept checking my phone out of habit, waiting for the next crisis that wasn't mine to fix. But nothing came. And that nothing was freedom. I spent the first few weeks just breathing. I went for long walks after work, cooked simple meals, watched the sunrise without the weight of someone else's problems pressing on my chest. For the first time in years, my life felt like it belonged to me. But freedom came with guilt, too. Every now and then I'd catch myself wondering if they were okay, if the bills were paid, if my brother had what he needed. That guilt, it was the last chain I hadn't broken yet. It whispered, "You're the good daughter. You don't walk away." But then I remembered that hospital hallway, the nurse thanking me for the payment, my mother hugging me, not out of love, but out of relief that her burden was lifted. I remembered how small that made me feel, and I decided I would never feel that small again. Months passed. I focused on rebuilding, not money, but boundaries. I started therapy, something I had avoided for years. My therapist listened quietly as I unpacked decades of conditioning. You were taught that love means sacrifice, but love isn't meant to drain you. It's supposed to grow you. Her words stuck. Slowly, I began to separate love from obligation, kindness from surrender. Around 6 months later, I heard through a cousin that my parents had sold the house. The debts had caught up with them. They'd filed for bankruptcy. For a moment, I felt the old panic rise, that instinct to fix everything, to step in and rescue them again. But I didn't move. I didn't call. I didn't send a cent. Because this time, their choices were theirs to face.
My brother eventually reached out. His voice was softer than I remembered. He told me he was working part-time, helping my parents as best he could. "It's different now," he said. "They talk about you sometimes. I think they finally understand." I didn't know whether to believe that or not, but I hoped it was true. Not for me, but for them. Because for the first time, maybe they were learning what it meant to live without expecting someone else to save them. As for me, I learned something too. Being the good daughter had nearly broken me. It had cost me my peace, my sense of self, even my joy. But walking away taught me that love without boundaries isn't love at all. It's control, disguised as care. Now, when people ask about my family, I tell them the truth. We're distant, but I'm healing. I don't carry shame in that anymore. Some nights I still think about my mother's last words. "Don't come back." They used to haunt me. Now, they sound like permission. Because I didn't just walk away from them, I walked toward myself. And maybe that's what being a good daughter should have meant all along.
If you've ever been the good daughter, the one who gives, fixes, sacrifices, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to choose yourself, even if no one claps for you when you do. For years, I thought love meant saying yes. Yes to their needs, yes to their chaos, yes to their comfort, even if it meant my pain. I confused endurance with loyalty and silence with strength. But now I know real strength isn't in holding everything together, it's in knowing when to let go. Choosing yourself doesn't make you selfish, it makes you honest. It means you stopped living for approval that will never come. It means you finally understand that your worth was never meant to be proven through suffering. I won't lie, walking away hurts. Healing isn't this clean, perfect thing. It's messy, it's lonely, it's crying at 2 a.m because you miss people who were never really there for you. But one day, you wake up lighter, you laugh easier, you start recognizing yourself again. And that's when you realize peace was the thing you were chasing all along. If you're listening to this and you've been the one holding your family together, carrying their expectations like weights you never agreed to lift, please set them down. You don't owe your life to anyone just because they gave you birth. You don't owe endless forgiveness to people who keep wounding you. You owe yourself a chance to live. Family should feel like warmth, not like walking on glass. Love should heal, not drain. And boundaries, they aren't walls, they're doors that open toward freedom. So, to every good daughter who's tired, who's lost, who's trying to unlearn the idea that love means self erasure, this is your sign. You can stop trying to earn what you already deserve. You can choose peace over pleasing. You can choose healing over habit. You can choose yourself because sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is not stay.